I tried a flip phone for a week and it didn't go how I expected it to go. I tried a flip phone so you don't have to. I just want to start off this video by kind of giving a reason why I decided to do this in the first place, because I feel like there needs to be a little bit of an explanation. So here's the why. So for context, I've already been very conscious of my phone usage for the past couple of years, actually. I would say it probably started maybe my senior year of high school, or maybe in between my senior year of high school and my first year of college. I just realized how much time I was wasting on my phone. You know, I saw my screen time and it was like 6, 7, 8 hours a day. I don't exactly remember, but somewhere around there. And that just really upset me. Like, why am I spending so much time staring at this little box, this little electronic rectangle in my hand? Why am I doing that? And back then I did have TikTok, and I will say that was a big problem, just because, you know, it's the constant like scrolling and like what's gonna be the next thing, kind of like addicting, attention grabbing sort of thing. And that really sucked me in, roped me in. So I ended up, around that time, after kind of realizing some of those things, I deleted TikTok, which, as we all know, it didn't do a lot of good, because literally every single other social media app also now has a video scrolling feature on it. You know, whether it be YouTube Shorts or Instagram Reels, or Facebook has, I think, also Reels. Anywho, so it helped a little, because no longer was I just using that app to do all my scrolling on, but then it made me want to use Instagram Reels, or want to use Facebook Reels, or whatever the case may be. So I believe it was during like my first year of college, somewhere around that time, I ended up putting timers on my social media apps just to help mitigate some of that constant scrolling, because once again, the screen time was up there. I mean, not as bad as it could be. You know, I know there's people out there that are on their phone like literally all day. So if that's you, this is your sign, this is your wake-up call. It could be worse, but I just didn't like that for myself, like thinking about just only me in this scenario. I just didn't want to be spending that much time only doing that, or like on my phone or whatever. I just wanted to kind of help lower just dull, idle time that I was wasting. Sorry, my kitty cat needs attention constantly. Continuing onward, so I put timers on my social media apps starting in college, and I think I started a little looser with my restrictions. Like, I think I started with maybe an hour for Instagram and maybe 45 minutes or something for Facebook. I don't exactly remember, but I started a lot more like lax with my restrictions. And yes, I do know, I've heard complaints from other people that have tried doing the whole screen timers, you know, restriction thing, and they're like, oh, but it's so easy to bypass. Just don't bypass it. I don't know what else to tell you. I don't know why it's so hard. It pops up, at least on a Samsung phone. I don't know about Apple, but on my Samsung, it would like pop up with a little thing at the top. It goes like, oh, you have 10 minutes left, and then you can select right then and there, like when it gives you the like 10 minute, 5 minute, 1 minute warning, you can say like add more time if you want, you know, right then and there. Or when it does finally get down and it's like 1 minute and then you're out, it you know, shuts the whole screen down, or like it shows it as black and it's like, your time is out for today. And then it's just like, okay. I don't know why, I mean, I do know why some people have struggled with that, but it's like, oh, it's so easy to bypass, just don't bypass it. Sorry, I might be really insensitive for that, but it's just literally just don't do it. If you're gonna put the timer on, just follow it. I don't know, just say you're doing something and stick to it. I don't know, not everyone's like that though, so I get it. But I started the timers when I was in college, and that just immensely helped me a lot, just lower my screen time, because I did stick to it. I was, you know, I set those for myself and I was like, this is what we're doing. And it's an incredibly useful and amazing tool that is built into your smartphone device. If you're willing to put the work in, if you're willing to try it and, you know, actually stick to it, the resources are there. So I've been using the screen timer, the app timers for about 3.5 years now. I don't have any problems with it. I've done really, really well with it. It's really, really worked for me. So I've already immensely lowered my screen time just using my smartphone and just lowering it that way by using the timers and sticking to them. So because of those things, I thought, why not just do the extreme and get a dumb phone, a flip phone, and test it out. See if I could do it and use it as my new phone, because I've already, you know, set the boundaries and I already don't really use my smartphone as much. So I thought, let's do a little experiment. Let's just try it out. And I've been really into like nostalgic technology and kind of getting back into analog type of things. So I thought, I love the aesthetic of, you know, the whole flipping the phone shut to end a phone call. I love that and I wanted that, and I thought I was really gonna love it and really just hit it off with this new phone. But let me tell you how it actually went. So let's start with the pros first, just because there's not that many of them. So let's start there. The first thing I want to say, okay, so the phone that I did end up getting, let's start there. The phone that I had been trying out is the Nokia 2780. This is what it looks like. Very simple. You know, here's like size comparison to my face and like my hand. And then here's this is a Galaxy phone. So here's a comparison there. You know, when it's closed, it's like that small. So I will say one of the pros, first of all, is just how easy it is to hold in your hand. I mean, I have little hands and I can wrap like my hand fully around it pretty much. It's very comfortable to hold. It's very easy to hold. You are able to, if I was more coordinated maybe, there we go. You can flip it open with just one hand, which is nice. I do like that because I've seen some of the other flip phones, like the modern ones that are like actually smartphones, which I would have got one of those, but I read so many reviews that they're all really hard to find like a service carrier, and this one I got specifically because it said it works with any service carrier. So I was literally able to put my Verizon SIM card from my Samsung into this phone and it worked. So that was the reason why I ended up going with this one specifically. I guess that's another pro. It works, this specific phone, the Nokia 2780, works with any phone provider. You can literally just take out your SIM card from your smartphone and put it into this phone, which was really nice to do. So I didn't invest that much hassle into this whole process. Love the flip design. I love the whole design of having the keypad that is physical buttons that you can push. I really enjoy that. Mind you, the greatest thing about this phone is ending phone calls like this. Yeah, so that's fun. I guess Another pro is it does exactly what a phone is meant to do. It calls, it texts, it has some very basic apps just already built into it. It does have an app store. You can download more apps on it. However, it runs on the callen, I think, system. So you're not able to get a lot of apps that you would be able to get on your smartphone, which makes sense. It's not a smartphone. It's not meant to do that. But if you're looking for one of those phones that is like, looks like a flip phone and you can get apps on it, it's not this one. This is not that phone. This is straight up dumb phone, flip phone technology, okay? So it calls, it texts, it does what a phone was originally designed to do. So that, I guess, is a pro if you don't need any other apps on it. But other than that, actually the video quality on here was not bad at all. And the sound, this thing puts out sound incredibly well. Like, we were watching a YouTube video on this and it's projecting that sound. And I talked to my mom on this phone, on speakerphone, and it was very loud, very clear, very easy to understand. It was very nice, actually. I was pleasantly surprised by the sound quality. Another pro is it kind of just defeated the purpose in a lot of ways to even have a smartphone. It's perfectly fine to spend a little extra time typing to your friend or typing in a search query into the internet. There's nothing wrong with that. Not everything needs to be super instant, in my opinion. I feel like one of the problems with, having a smartphone is making people a lot less patient, which is really sad because life's already short enough, and I don't want to get on my soapbox here. I don't want to be preaching to the choir or anything, and get all political and all, controversial about this topic. But why are we always rushing? Like, why are we always like looking for it? Like, I've mentioned this in one of my other videos before of just like, I always like to take the seasons and the time of the year and, everything just as it comes, rather than some people are like, they're in summer and they're like, oh man, I wish it was Christmas already. Or, then it gets to Christmas time and they're like, man, I really miss summer. Just enjoy it while you're in the moment. Okay, that's all for my that's all for my TED Talk for now. Oh, I'm parched. Okay, so now that we've gotten through the pros, I guess I said there wasn't that many, but it kind of felt like I had quite a few. Let's go into the cons. Obviously, it's difficult when you're comparing for example, I've been, comparing, a flip phone, a very basic flip phone, to my Samsung Galaxy S9 Plus, which is an old smartphone. I will say, you shouldn't really compare the two because they're just not in the same wavelength at all. For the sake of, this is what we're used to in the modern day. This is what we've been using for the past few years. So just comparing that experience to, if per se somebody wants to go back in time to use, what it was like before, there is the comparison there to be made of just what it's like to go from using a modern phone to using a flip phone. So obviously the biggest con with this phone is you can't get the apps that you have on your smartphone on this phone. And that's just how it is. That's not a fault of the phone, really. That's what you get for, switching to a modern phone to a flip phone. You can't get the same apps. Social media apps weren't as big of a problem for me. I could do without those. You can still use a lot of the apps on your smartphone on your computer, for example. So you could make it work. Something that I really like having on my smartphone is when we're out hiking or just out in nature in general, I'm a birder. I like to bird. So I really like having Merlin on my phone. It's a birding app that helps you identify birds by pictures or by sound recordings. And that was something I really miss because I was out in nature. I was on a walk and I heard a bird and I was like, oh, what is that bird? And I go to grab my phone to start up Merlin to start the recording, and I realized I can't. So if you're outdoorsy or if you're into wildlife or birding or whatever, yes, you can go back in time and crack open your field guide that you carried with you out into the wilderness, and you can flip through all the pages and hopefully maybe find the bird that you thought you were listening to or saw. But I will say that is one of the really great things about modern smartphones or modern technology, is the fact that you don't need to do that, and you can just record a little snippet of the bird calling and you can figure out what it is. That's a really great tool, and I really love having that. So I will say that's a con of like switching to a flip phone if you're used to using a smartphone and just not being able to use some of those apps that you're used to using. Spotify was another big one. It's really nice to have music all the time at your disposal. It's not a necessity. There are still other technologies out there that would prevent the need for having that on your phone. You know, you can have your old MP3 player, you can have your old iPod. That's currently at my parents' house, but if I had that at my disposal while I was trying out this flip phone, I probably had a lot better experience using the flip phone, because I really would have no need to go on the smartphone. And it's kind of the point. It's kind of the point of having a flip phone, is to not have the apps that you have on your smartphone. That's kind of the whole point. So I can't really say that as a complete con, because it's like, that's kind of what the purpose of it is. So, but for me personally, I saw it as a con, just like not being able to use some of those things that, yes, of course, I'm used to using in the modern world, but it is nice. Another con I want to bring up is the whole typing situation. It's very fun to use the physical buttons. I really loved that part of the phone, just like actually having to like, that's very fun to me. However, the typing on this, practicality wise, it's just not practical. It's just not there. I also found it really annoying how every time I would close out of the messages app and go back into it, it would reset whatever setting I had for like the capital ABC, the all caps ABC, or the all lowercase ABC. It would reset every single time that I would poke the buttons. And yes, that's a first world problem, and yeah, whatever, you know, but that's something that I personally found annoying about the phone, was that it just reset that every single time. And yeah, your smartphone does that too. You can turn it off, whatever, but like, it's a lot harder and more cumbersome to use on this phone. It is a little inconvenient, but it's nothing I couldn't deal with. The other con about this phone is the Google Maps on this phone are not the Google Maps that we know and love. It's a lot harder to, you know, search for your destinations, you know, obviously because you're having to do the typing thing. But then also, once you finally get to the stage of pressing the button to get the directions, it's not the Google Maps that follows you along on your route and gives you an estimated time of when you're gonna be there. It's quite literally just a picture of, okay, this is the turn you're making, or you're making a left on, you know, whatever street. And you know, it doesn't tell you how far away that is, or you know, what that really looks like. That was kind of tricky to use. It was very hilarious to watch me try to navigate with this Google Maps on this phone. I'm spoiled. I'm used to the other Google Maps. I'm used to having it on the giant iPad-sized screen in my Subaru of the maps pulled up. I struggled with that a little bit. I know not everyone would, and I know that's like a very first world problem to have. For me personally, that was a struggle trying to use the Google Maps. I have become a little reliant on, burn me. It's a really nice tool to have, and I feel like everyone kind of agrees with that. Kind of my last con that I wrote down about this phone is it has Bluetooth on it. It did connect to my car. It did not do anything for me though. So I found that the Bluetooth feature is just really obsolete. You know, it's just because of the lack of other things that, and you know, I didn't take the time to download music on this phone. I didn't take the time to sign into my email on this phone. So the Bluetooth feature, it just really, I could have experimented with it more to find maybe what does work for it and how the Bluetooth feature can be good on this phone, but I just personally found that it didn't even matter. You know, it just didn't do anything for me. So I guess just kind of wrapping up my final thoughts and my final experience with this whole challenge, I like to call it, to myself, or this experiment with myself, just to see if I could do it. The answer to that question is yes, I could do it. I could have a flip phone. I could use a flip phone in my day-to-day life. I could get used to it. I don't think I would have a whole lot of problems with it. However, the thing that goes along with that is, even in the short time span that I was using this phone, like about a week, I had to carry my smartphone with me because I tried to connect this to my car and didn't do anything for me. So I had this one with, and I just connected it and played some of my Spotify playlists that are downloaded that I can play with no data. So that was a nice function. However, I will say, if you had an iPod, that would defeat that whole purpose. You wouldn't have to carry your phone with. You can just carry your phone and your iPod with, or leave your iPod in your car, whatever. So that kind of defeats that whole argument, I guess. And if I did have my iPod with me right now, that's what I would have done. And another thing is, with the whole Bluetooth capabilities, I guess, I have a Garmin smartwatch that I really, really love using for all of my outdoor activities, like hiking, and also, you know, going on runs, going on walks. I really like tracking my activities. It's something that I really enjoy doing. And I also really like the feature on here that shows my texts, or when I have a call incoming, it shows it on my smartwatch. I really like that feature just because it gives me another reason not to have to pick up my phone. You know, I can just look at my watch and say, oh, this person texted me, you know, it can wait. So I do really like that feature. And, you know, obviously this phone, the flip phone is not going to Bluetooth connect to my Garmin like my smartphone does. So that's one of the modern day things that I also really like. And, you know, I could give it up. Obviously, it's not like my life depends on these things, but I don't have to give it up. You know what I'm saying? Like, I could do all these things. I could have the flip phone. I could make it my everyday phone, and I could live with that. I could just get her. You know, I'm really great at just, you know, saying like, this is what we're doing. We just got to get through it type of thing. I'm really good at just sucking it up and just dealing with it. But the thing is, I don't have to. And that's kind of where I'm at, you know? I'm a grown woman. I make my own money. I don't need to have a flip phone. And I think if I was an older lady and maybe I like lived by myself and I've lived in the same town my whole life, maybe, I think I could totally rock a flip phone, no problem. But, you know, I have recently moved to a different part of the country, and now pretty much all of my relationships, all my friendships are all long distance. So it's really nice to have the capability of having a smartphone that can FaceTime my friend on. It's just things like that that help me personally stay connected with my long distance friends, that I don't think at this point in my life I'm ready to give that up, because I think I would just feel really isolated and feel really lonely without that. And yeah, that's kind of sad to say, you know, oh yeah, I would feel so like lonely without my phone. It's not the phone, okay? It's not like I'm addicted to the phone and the phone is my best friend. It's not that. The phone is a tool, and it's a very helpful tool that it can be used in a wrong way. It can be used as an addicting tool. It can be, you know, definitely worshipped in a way, you know, but it doesn't always have to be. And I think the biggest part of that, like I mentioned, is the social media, is what makes phones so bad, you know? So I don't think smartphones are the devil, okay? I don't think that at all. I think they're very useful tools for the modern age that we've become reliant on. Let's not joke ourselves. Let's not kid ourselves here. Pretty much everybody has become reliant on a cell phone in the modern day, especially young people. So it's just how life is now. And yeah, it's kind of sad. Yeah, it's kind of not sad. It's just kind of the way it is. I don't think it needs to be painted in such a bad light, just having a smartphone in general. If you want to have a smartphone, have a smartphone. If you want to use a flip phone, great, that's awesome. You know, if it worked for you, like if you tried it out and you were like, man, I really thought I was gonna hate it, but I actually love it, that's so great. I wanted that to be my experience. I wanted to love this. I wanted to make it work. I wanted to be a flip phone girly. I wanted to be that Y2K aesthetic, but I'm not. I'm not in that regard. But I don't think the smartphone or the flip phone is just the key to that. I think you can have a lot of nostalgic things and be just fine. You know, as long as we're appreciating whatever it is we want to appreciate. For me, I'm trying to appreciate just analog technology and kind of that nostalgia vibe of like the iPods and the MP3 players and the DVDs and the VHS tapes. I love that. I'm really trying to embrace that in the year of our Lord 2025, going into 2026. And I know there's a lot of people that are probably their 2026 New Year's resolutions are probably, maybe some of them are having to do with lowering screen time or just being less dependent on your smartphone. And I think that's great. And I will be making a video on some tips of how, which I kind of talked about in this video, but I will be making a full video on how I have lowered my smartphone usage and how it is possible to do in the modern day, and you're gonna be just fine. I'm glad that I tried this challenge. I'm glad that I experimented on myself and just challenged myself to use a flip phone for a week and just see how it goes. I think it was fun to do, but just for me personally, it's just not realistic. It's just not feasible. And I don't necessarily like having to admit that, but just where I'm at in my life right now, I'm just not ready to give up some of those things that come with a smartphone. And it has nothing to do with social media. I actually deleted social media off my smartphone, and I've found virtually no reason to go on it other than, you know, responding to my friends' text messages or messaging my friends or basic texting, or doing my Duolingo or listening to Spotify. Great apps that are really great to use. But deleting social media really truly just cuts so much of the reason to go on your smartphone in general that I feel switching to a flip phone isn't necessarily the most realistic option if you're trying to lower your screen time. There's a lot of other things that can be done before you get to that stage. So I will be making another video on some tips on how to do that. But this was just kind of my experience of what it's like to switch to a flip phone in the modern day, and the good, the bad, the ugly. I hope you enjoyed watching. I'm trying to do some different videos kind of like this where it's more sit down and chat about something and kind of get my opinion out there a little more and try to help other people out more and just give you some tips and tricks on things that have worked for me and stuff that I'm passionate about and stuff that, you know, it's important that we talk about. So I'm trying to get more into videos like that. So hopefully you enjoyed.